Hello, welcome to Gallery ABBA, Beloit College's student-run art gallery. I'm Eva McFarlane, I'm a senior at Beloit, and I manage the gallery. We are very excited to open our first show of the school year, Retrieval by Sophie Jo Wray, a sophomore at Beloit. Thank you so much for watching. Gallery ABBA is open by appointment only this year. If you'd like to make an appointment, please email galleryabba@beloit.edu, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Sophie. This is my art show at Gallery ABBA, and it's called Retrieval. Retrieval is this, retrieval is that. Retrieval is remembering parts of my childhood. It's trying not to forget the lyrics or poems that I have in my mind before I get to write them down. Retrieval is wishing and hoping for something good to come, and then finding that something to hold on to, never letting it go. Retrieval is remembering who I am. In this collection, I do some contemplation on my own personal growth and reflect on how my identity has been impacted by different people and places throughout my life so far. These pieces connect to offer up a small explanation of who I am, as well as how I see myself, others, and the world around me. I wanted to create poetry and artwork that reflects on who I am as a person, the thoughts and feelings I have as a young person experiencing life around me. I write about Wisconsin, my current home, and I also write about New York, my first and forever home. I'm very drawn to the big blue hills of New York, and I always feel very content and happy when I'm there. And so I'm reminded of the impact that New York specifically has had on me while I'm here in Beloit, in Wisconsin. I love this place, truly, but I do find myself longing for the big blue hills of New York every so often. I've noticed and I've taken in all of the differences between here and home, but I find comfort in many different aspects of Beloit, the college, the community, the flat land, and there's some hills here too, which is nice. But I'm learning how to make this place my home too. There are a few different eras that this collection focuses on. I write about things from the past, things I'm experiencing right now at school, away from home, and I also write a little bit about the future, who I see myself becoming, who I want to become, and there are also some wild cards. I've done some drawings and some poems that don't exactly fit into a specific category, but I think they still connect to the collection as a whole. So thank you for reading and looking and thinking. So these three poems I have pieced together kind of in a category of my life now here at Beloit. I have one called New York Memories, another one called Homemade Tattoos, and another one called En Route. I just kind of write about, in New York Memories, I write about the differences that I'm seeing in Wisconsin versus New York, where I'm from. And then in Homemade Tattoos, there was a small gathering at my house, and my housemates gave each other homemade tattoos, and it was just an interesting thing for me to watch and observe, and it got me thinking about things that I want to do, and things that I want to be, and things that I don't want to be. And then this last one, called En Route, talks about how you can be comfortable wherever you land, and as long as you're, I don't want to say giving it your all, because that's really cheesy, but as long as you're giving it your all, you'll be okay, even if it's in Wisconsin. So these next pieces, I kind of focused more on art instead of poetry. This one is obviously a poem, but I had this little figurine. The title of this piece is called Figurine, and I stitched it out of my junior prom dress, this silvery fabric. I made my junior prom dress, and then it was too short, and so I scrapped it and I put it in here. And I have the repetition of this little figure in both of these pieces, and then I have this plastic gridding that I've worked with in several of the poems, and in this piece as the background for this. It's kind of a self-portrait. The words on it read, She Is Not Me because I have two shoulders, and I originally had started it as a self-portrait, but then one of her shoulders got cut off and it didn't quite look like me, and so I just said, oh, this isn't me. I have two shoulders. She's not me. And then I used the gridding again in this piece that has a couple of different figures, and they're all kind of representative of me or just of people in general. Okay, all right, this is a song that I wrote about, I think, a year ago. It was when I had just gotten to Beloit and I was a little homesick, which I was very surprised about. I didn't think that I was going to be as homesick as I was so quickly. But it's called Home is in the East, and it's just, my favorite line from it is, the shrubs turned to dust as my mother's voice floated into my ear, calling me home. And I always think of my mother when I think of New York, because she went there in the early 90s, and then my dad soon followed her out there, and then they've both been there ever since, and it's a really like sturdy New York is home kind of a thing for me. And I split it up with another poem that I wrote that I just want to talk about. Home is in the East. And then this is just a little pen drawing that I did, and it's titled Come On In. And I do a lot of these little homey doodles, and it's kind of like wishful thinking that this is what my house is going to look like someday. And so I've got a lot of different patterns and like circular windows and bright lamps and keys on a nail by the door. And it's very welcoming to me, and I'd love to live in a place with a crazy rug like that. Okay. These next three poems are kind of the randomer ones. I have this list of items that are or were in my room. I was just kind of looking around, and I looked in my waste bin, and I saw the Reese's Pieces packages that my mom had sent me in the mail. And there were cookies from my dad that he had sent me in a little care package. And I just started writing down, and I say "and" in between everything instead of a comma. So it's just like this kind of horrible run-on sentence that ends in, last but not least, Reese's Pieces, which is one of my favorite things to eat. And then this other one, I did this I didn't do the poem last night, but the third line is eat Yoplait in the evening. And last night I was eating Yoplait, and I was like, what's the saying? Life imitates art. So I thought that was kind of cute. And then this last one, it's called Lily. And there's this woman in Ithaca, New York, which is where I'm from, and she always calls me Lily. She works at this antique shop, and every time I go in, we have a beautiful conversation. We chat like old friends, and then she says, "Goodbye, Lily," like every time. And I don't know how to break it to her that I'm not Lily, because I feel like she's kind of forged this image of me in her head as Lily. Like, she totally knows me for who I am, but just doesn't have the name right. And I don't think I need to correct her. And if there's ever a chance, I guess I will, but I wouldn't want her to feel embarrassed, because I feel like we've had such a lovely little bond, even though there's a little something wrong. But I can be Lily. I'm not Lily, but I can be Lily for her. Thank you for watching. My show Retrieval will be up from October 23rd till November 6th.